Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sedona International Film Festival. I'm your host, Carol Kahn. We are coming to you live from Yavapai College. Yavapai College is one of our sponsors, along with Northern Arizona Healthcare, Goldenstein Gallery, the Kling family, BMO Bank, and the City of Sedona. And we'd also like to thank all of our other sponsors, our restaurateurs, hoteliers, and the many other sponsors and volunteers that have participated in this year's film festival. And joining me now are two filmmakers, LaChelle and Greer, from the film Aftermath. And thank you for being with us, and just found out that they're from the Phoenix area, so locals.
Yes.
We'd like to say locals. So you've been to Sedona before, correct?
Yes. It's
Yeah.
lovely.
And this morning you got a little dusting, I think, from some snow. So I'm sure it's prettier than normal.
I love that. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your film.
Yeah, so The Aftermath is a period piece, and it's about a woman who survived the Titanic, and she's kind of finding her next step in life, and is on a journey to kind of deal with her emotions and trauma from that.
And then your role in the film.
I was the composer.
Oh, nice.
I wrote the music for it.
And tell us a little bit about the music that you composed for it.
So one of the things we talked about early on was making it period appropriate to the time. So piano was kind of the medium or the main instrument in that. But it's always interesting when you're interpreting a creative idea on top of someone's creative landscape. So there's a balance in doing that. But I feel like with the film, there's this character who has all these emotions that even though in the film there's this vast open space, her emotions and feelings are filling that space, and so the music is just to basically empathize and support that emotion.
Talk to me a minute about composing, because typically, like, you have the freedom if you're going to just write a song, for example, right? And you have the freedom of doing that. But then when you actually have a storyline that you have to make sure that everything goes together, is it more difficult than maybe just composing something on your own, like a freelance on your own?
That's a good question. It can be difficult at times, but with this, there's a lot of elements to kind of assign instruments to certain roles. So you can have the piano representing the woman. You can have the sort of flurrying sounds that represent the wind in the open space, and that, space not filled as well. But it's always a challenge. There's always that staring at a blank slate with utter terror. But it was very fun to work on this film because it was something where I felt like I could inherently connect with the elements of the film. So it was a fun process.
Mm-hmm. And LaChelle, for you doing a period piece, especially like in modern times, how easy or difficult is it to make that kind of transition?
I think you really have to do a lot more planning in the writing process for the production side, because if you have a certain budget, if you have to be period appropriate and you have to get rid of the realities of today, you have to really think about, okay, when I shoot it in a certain space, what is that going to look like, and how much is that going to cost me, or how much effort am I going to have to put into rearranging it or making it look appropriate. And so what I decided to do, and I was inspired by some independent films I had watched over time, is do a lot of landscape and have her be outside, and so that we just see this beautiful like beachside with no people, and just kind of, and it was helpful too to the creative side because it made her feel isolated, which I wanted, but it also helped in the budget side of things. And then I only had to focus on for the period piece part really a lot of her wardrobe and the props versus like having to do so much production design.
Yeah. Did we have a trailer for this or no? I can't remember.
We don't today.
Okay.
I mean, it's a 6-minute short, so it's the trailer's like a chunk of the movie. But
So what inspired you to actually do the film?
I had read a book. I obviously love the movie Titanic and grew up watching that, and it definitely inspired me as a filmmaker. And but then I listened to this book about the aftermath of all these people and what they went through and who they were, not just their testimonies of that night, but what they actually went through in life. And I was really inspired by that because what I discovered, like in a lot of tragedies, is that people tend to go one of two ways when dealing with that kind of severe tragedy. They either think life is short and they kind of pursue their passions in life, or don't take it for granted, or they spiral. And so I wanted to do a combination of different things. With this character, she's a little bit more optimistic. So I'm taking the characters I learned about and putting them all into her. From the optimistic side, and then I'm going to do another one about more of the tragic, the people who kind of took a tragic path instead.
I love your analysis of what you got out of this as well, because it's really interesting. I think for me, it's like I love strong women. Like I love seeing their charge, and that nobody, like, they're not going to let anybody get them down, and and they're like fighters, and I'm like, yes, I love these people. So it's just real interesting to find out like what inspires you.
Thank you.
And in looking at the film, what's your feelings about the film?
Kind of the same way. I mean, I really empathized with the character. I liked seeing a strong woman that was living a life, making, like she said, the choice to live life to the fullest and fill that space with a life well lived, essentially.
And as a composer, what other things do you do in real life other than film?
Other than film, I mean, pretty much just film. Yeah, it's what I do.
Yeah. So you don't compose in concerts or do anything like that?
No, I mainly, it's less of a performative use of the instruments and more of a sort of very intentional, meditative, like writing out of the instrument. So it's something where a concert pianist can play an amazing piece right offhand. I'll be working on small chunks of something, kind of stringing it together and making it fluid.
Okay, awesome.
And I mean, Greer was like really important in this film because we did it also as a voiceover, because she's writing a letter in the film, and so I needed the music and the sound design to be very specific, and it really carries a lot of the film too, because we don't have actors going back and forth, we have her voiceover, and it's her out there walking around, and so you have to build, like, you take her emotion and what she's doing, but then you also have to build the emotion with the music and with the sound design. And so that was something that was kind of scary, because I had never worked with a composer or worked in this capacity for this type of film, and so it was really interesting process. And we had a lot of wind that day shooting too, so we kind of just like, we're gonna do everything in post, and usually that's a bad thing, it's a bad thing to think that way and not record that kind of stuff on the day, but it actually, I feel like, worked out really well.
And how many songs or music did he have to do to get it right? Did he get it right on the first time?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, we spent maybe like a year talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of discussion.
I spent a lot of time on this, and I had sample music, and then I kind of showed him, okay, this is what I'm kind of looking for, and then I want this kind of emotion here, this here, and he just kind of knocked it out of the park, and we talked about a few things, to change, and you're always going to have that, and then, I mean, it was good, and then, so the order of things in post is I did the voiceover, the composing was kind of happening for a while, like I said, and we were playing around with that, and then the voiceover, and then the sound design was like the last piece. So like, I want more waves here, I want less, wind here, and that was kind of interesting too, because I don't know, it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
It was something I like discovered that I was like, oh, I like working with the music and working with the sound. So
yeah, I love putting music to things, but it's just like you have to get it right, and especially if you're picking it out yourself, that's one thing. But if you have to try to communicate exactly what you want to someone else and to get it right, because sometimes they have their own vision, and you're not really sure if you're going to get it. Yeah. So I didn't mean to be hard on you.
It's okay. It's true. It is. It's the job of the composer very much to, rather than put their stamp on it, to kind of learn the non-musical terms of directors, of producers, and be able to kind of interpret that musically. So
yeah. Well, great job, you two.
You.
And has your film shown already?
Yes, so we had one screening on Wednesday at night at 7 p.m. and then we have one this afternoon at 1 p.m.
Oh, awesome. And where is it?
It's going to be at the Harkin 6.
Okay. And
we are in the Shorts Block 4.
Nice.
So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, good. And how can people find out about your film?
We do have a social media Instagram, so it's the aftermath_short, and you can follow us there and see our progress. And eventually, I'll be posting it on the internet once we're done with our like festival run. So,
All right, and make sure that whenever you post, you know our hashtags, right?
absolutely.
All right. Well, for those who don't know our hashtags, it is hashtag SIFF23 and the Sedona Film Fest 23. We'll be back with more from the Sedona Film Fest after this. Thank you.